Oh, hey everyone, sorry. I'm just trying to think of something. I've been getting some people saying, certain videos of mine, the quality was pretty bad, and so I'm just trying to think of possibly emulating myself in my videos to make them look better and sharper, and yeah, let's give it a shot. Yeah, I think people will like it this way for sure. Alright, not too bad. Hey everyone, how's it going? To level here with another sort of unique-ish little video. So, a little while ago I did a video about kind of multi-carts on my DS and everything, so I wanted to talk about kind of emulators I use, and big reason for this is because I'm getting ready to actually set up a new series where I kind of look back at games I grew up with. I think it's going to be a very fun series. I don't want to give too much away because, yeah, I have a pretty fun name for it, and yeah, so I hope to get that done quickly and figure out how I want to do it because, yeah, I think that's the hardest part. But, anyways, yeah, I just want to talk about kind of emulators I'm using. So, yeah, I just want to say, whether you play emulators, ROMs all the time, or you're someone who does not like them or multi-carts or anything, that's perfectly fine, but, be respectful for everyone else who, wants to play games whatever way they want, right? Because for emulators, there could be many reasons why people use them, they might want to play a game that is just super expensive and, they hope to get it one day, but they just can't right now, and other things like if they're trying to make videos, like if they're doing YouTube and perhaps they don't have a capture card or something like that, or they just like how the emulators look compared to what the capture card captures on their original hardware and things like that, right? So, yeah, and also emulators have save states, rewind features, which are really nice, especially for the older games to just kind of play how, you don't have to worry about finding a save point every 2 hours apart or anything like that. So, yeah, there's many reasons why people would use them, or in the case of having a DS or 3DS, unless you mod it, there's no way to capture footage for it, right? So you kind of have to use emulators for that sort of stuff, but yeah, so I just want to kind of talk about a few now. It's going to be a kind of short list because, yeah, kind of the last one I talk about will be the Retron 5, since it's a clone machine, but yeah, it's emulation, right? But since I that system covers a lot of games and Japanese imports and all that, I might not, when I do my series, I might bother downloading a few kind of Super Nintendo ones and all that for games that I don't currently have anymore. But yeah, same with N64, which, yeah, I kind of started using and downloading a few just so I have games to talk about for that. But anyways, enough rambling. So yeah, I guess before sorry, more rambling, I guess, because before we begin, two things. One, I won't put the link of these emulations in the description, only because there's so many versions, and you might have a Mac or you might be using Steam Deck for this. I'm using PC, so setups will be different. I will be putting the names of each one I use in the description down below, but yeah, I won't leave links. And the second thing too is, please do not leave comments asking me how to set any of this up or tutorials on any of that. I'm very new at this. It took me a long time to set some of these up, much longer than I'd like to admit, and because of that, yeah, And again, you're going to have a completely different setup than me, so this is not a video of like tutorial how to do this, how to set it all up, because yeah, it's going to be very different for each person out there, so yeah, I am sorry, but yeah, you'll have to look at other videos for kind of the tutorials on some of this stuff. This is just me kind of going over quickly the ones I'm using, and again, I just started using a lot of these, right? So I'll start with, I'm just trying to think, I believe there's like 3 PlayStation ones, and then, yeah, there'd be 4 Nintendo ones. So we'll start with PlayStation. So again, these two actually, all 3 I just started. So the first one for PS1 is Duckstation. Now, just a little bit I used with this. This is a pretty great program. It's, it does great stuff with up-resing the games, and they run really smoothly, and I do have my own thoughts about AI, but I'm not an artist, so I can't really say too much, but, I probably won't do a video on, like, how I think AI and games are, but I will say we do need human artists. There are things human artists can do way better than AI, can, right? So we still need those human artists, but anyways, yeah, Duckstation, very solid program, very easy to use, so yeah, not too bad. And again, I'm very new, so I'm still like messing around with all the features and settings and everything, right? Then on PS2, we have what's called, I believe, PCXS2, as, again, I'll leave all the names, or no, it's PCSX2, that's it, yeah. So, again, leave all the names in the description so you can look them up yourselves, but yeah, again, it's very similar to Duckstation. It might even be made by the same fans or one guy. I'm not sure how many people made these emulators, but yeah, it's very similar and yeah, pretty easy to use, like pretty easy to load the ROM in and use it. Now, one thing you do have to realize for both PS1 and PS2 for these emulators and all that is you also need to download a BIOS. So, all these other emulators, you don't need BIOS or anything. I think I said BIOS, but whatever. Yeah, but for PS1, PS2, the Duckstation, and PCSX2, you do need a BIOS to kind of run these games, right? And I think it's just kind of there to help the emulator recognize kind of like, okay, we're recreating a PS2, right? And so, yeah, you just keep that in mind. I forget the ones I use. I probably won't leave them in the description just because there's a lot of different ones you can choose from. So again, just Google it. There'll be a lot of Reddit posts and all that for you to find, and I think, yeah, then you'll leave it at that. And then for PSP, now this one was one that I really wanted to download because I want to play a lot more PSP. I hardly played or beat any PSP games. I want to change that, and I would love, I have kind of cords to set up my PSP on my TV and everything, but they're pretty short, and it's a little awkward playing on the PSP as a controller, and yeah, also on, like, the television, like, you can't get a full screen or anything like that, so yeah, I want to use this to help me kind of beat a few PSP games, so it's called PPSSPP. And this is probably my favorite emulator, to be honest, just because of how easy it is to use, along with how many controls you can bind to a controller. So, might sound blasphemy, but I'm using Switch controller. I actually tried to use Switch controller for every one of these, but some of them didn't really work and all that. Some I had to use PS4, so yeah, you might be wondering why didn't I just use PS4 then for the PlayStation stuff, and it's like, I like the Switch controller, what can I say, and, yeah, what's nice too is because the PSP doesn't have that many controls, you can bind a lot of like things like save states, rewind, all that to the other controls on the controller, which is really cool for me. And yeah, just really, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. As yeah, I'll show kind of quick comparison between PSP, like me capturing directly on PSP through my copy of Brave Story, versus the emulated version of Brave Story, right, which I'm currently playing through. So yeah, it's quite cool and really enjoying that one, I would say. So that's all the kind of PlayStation ones, so let's talk about Nintendo. So the first one we'll talk about is for the N64, Project 64. So again, I did use this one a little bit in the past, but not too much, and now I'm going to be using it a bit more just when I do my new series. And this one's very solid, you know, it's probably the best N64 emulator you can get, but the biggest issue I have with it, and I've seen a lot of people have this too, is just setting up the controller. Excuse me. It's, yeah, setting up the controller, because it doesn't like to recognize a whole lot of controllers, or there's things like you might have to reset your computer to get to recognize it. It took me a little bit to get to work, so weirdly enough, I'm using a PS4 controller for that N64 emulator, which again will be blasphemy for a lot of people, but you know, but other than that, the games do run really great and it's pretty easy to use. Just, yeah, I think they still need to tweak kind of the controller stuff, binding, all that a little bit more. Alright, so let's move on to what I use for GameCube now, which is probably the most famous one for emulators, and that's Dolphin. Now, you can use, like, for Wii games, and some of them I do but it's mainly the ones that where you would have to hold the Wii remote sideways, just because I don't have kind of the adapter or anything. This is me trying to work Red Steel just as an example with the controller, and yeah, it just does not work that way, but either way, yeah, Dolphin's a great emulator. It does a lot of great things with, yeah, kind of your typical stuff of save states, rewind, everything, and yeah, upscaling, but it's just so easy to use. And yeah, again, Dolphin is a really great one to kind of almost start out with, right, just to get familiar with emulators and everything. So yeah, really like that one. Now you can do, like, attach your Wii remote to your PC and all that, but I think you need like a Bluetooth adapter and everything like that. I haven't really touched into that stuff or anything, because for the Wii I don't care too much about emulating that stuff. I think it's just easier to use, like, play the games either on the Wii or Wii U that way, right? So yeah, but Dolphin really cool, and yeah, I don't have the homebrew channel for Wii or anything. I think the only Japanese game really that I kind of want to play would be Captain Rainbow, right? So it's not a big deal for me. And then moving on, we have DS. So again, yeah, well, we'll say DS, 3DS, right? Because for those, you know, I don't have any way to record gameplay, so anytime I kind of get new pickup on DS, 3DS, I use kind of these emulators. For DS, it's DeSmuMe or DeSmuMe, something like that. I'll put, like, probably text on the screen and it'll be in the description and all that, but yeah, very solid program, very easy to use. Now, the audio, like, I found, and this is probably just with DS games in general, is like, it's hit or miss with these DS ones when you emulate them, because sometimes the audio is super distorted and other times it's not so bad. So that's something, you know, there might be a better DS option out there, but this is just kind of what I'm most familiar with, and it works really well for me, I find. And then, yeah, the final one for 3DS being Citra. Now, this one's a really great program. It's updated constantly, and yeah, just really easy to use again. And yeah, for DS, 3DS, this is like the only time I also use like keyboard and mouse for any of the controls, just because it's a lot easier. For any games that require the touchscreen, you just use the mouse, right? And it works almost the same like you're using a stylus, right? So yeah, it's kind of the only one where I use keyboard and mouse controls, and yeah, really fun to use, really easy to use, and yeah, pretty solid, you know, kind of setup. And yeah, so okay, so I'm dumb. I said I would talk about the Retron 5, but I forgot to talk about how it's going to just the straight outro, so we'll talk about it now. So yeah, I'll just kind of show pictures of, yeah, the Retron 5 quickly. So this is a very cool clone machine for emulation where you have to use physical cards into it, but yeah, it emulates everything as you play it, as yeah, you can play Super Nintendo, NES, yeah, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and the Japanese versions of, you know, Famicom, Super Famicom, Mega Drive. And then if you put the add-on, which I'll show here, you can also have Master System and Game Gear, which is really cool, even if it's super bulky. As you can see here, it's kind of ugly looking, but either way, yeah, I really enjoy my Retron 5. Now, this is going to be mixed for a lot of people because, yeah, it is a pretty cheap made machine. Like, it's super light. It, you know, a lot of people had theirs break pretty easily within the first year of owning it. Luckily, I haven't had issues with it. The only issue I had so far is, like, occasionally it takes me a bit longer to get a game to recognize, you know, when I'm trying to put it in, but yeah, really cool. And it's a great system for Japanese imports too, because you can use an SD card in the back and, you know, plug it into your computer, download like English patch, and then you take that SD card, put it into the Retron, you load it up, and yeah, you get your game in English, which is really nice. So I do really enjoy collecting kind of for the Retron in a way, because what's also cool is it uses HDMI, so a lot of the games look really great. Now, yeah, there are some legal issues, I guess, with it, where it's like for Game Boy Advance, they didn't necessarily have the license to kind of make the Game Boy Advance emulator on there. So yeah, it's just something to be aware of. Again, that's going to be on Hyperkin rather than the consumer, but it's just wanted to make people aware. I'm not sure the whole details about that whole thing, to be honest. But yeah, just a cool machine. And yeah, like, I hope to own an NES, Famicom, Super Nintendo, all those systems one day, right? But what's great with the Retron is I don't have to be in a hurry, and even if I owned them, I probably wouldn't hook them up because, yeah, the Retron, it can do so many systems through HDMIs with different filters, so sometimes I forget to remove them because I mainly use them for the Game Gear games to smooth out some of the pixels, since when it's blown up on the big screen, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. So yeah, I sometimes forget, and yeah, you'll see like some games will have scan lines, which I mean to remove, but it likes to automatically put them on, and you have to keep removing it. It's kind of annoying because, yeah, I'm not big on kind of the fake scan lines, right? But to each their own, you know. And yeah, so great system, and now we can finish the outro here. I hope you enjoyed all this, enjoyed kind of the ones I used. There's probably going to be others I'll use later on, you know, like I said, when I kind of do my new series, they'll probably use a bit more, so look forward, you know, there might be another video on this, or an updated video to when I get more experience with these other ones that I just started using. Maybe there's other features I can use, so yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time for just other videos I do. Alright, bye everyone! Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, or if you just want to see any of my skits and then nothing else and leave the video, that's fine too. Thanks everyone, take care.